everybody. Welcome to your Unpaid Therapist.
Hello. Welcome to another episode of your Unpaid Therapist.
I'm not getting paid. I didn't even get a donut.
You are new around here. I am Valery Ortiz.
As always, I am your host, Alikona, she's away, Bradford.
This is your Unpaid Therapist. Chua.
Oh, okay.
Hey, hola. How's it going? Oh my gosh, that may have been loud. Guys, I'm really excited because this is the very first episode of your Unpaid Therapist, and hopefully you already know who I am, but I'm Valery Ortiz.
I've never seen you before in my life.
Girl, get out my house.
Just kidding. Okay, hi. Hello, hi. My name is Alikona Bradford, and Val and I, we just wanted to create a really safe space for us to let our emotional baggage hang on out along with yours. And I know anytime there's a great milestone in my life, and I feel like probably for you too, I call my best friend. Or if I'm wondering, like, how the crap did I manifest this bullshit into my life? And I pick up the phone and I call Val. She is my unpaid therapist.
Yeah, and this was kind of born out of those conversations. I was in Canada. It was COVID. Things were just a hot mess and great and all the things. And we talked about it often, and we were like, you know what? We're going to do this podcast. And we wanted to pay an homage to our unpaid therapists in our lives, other than us, all of you. We want to invite you into the conversation to really just get to know us better.
Yeah.
Celebrate the highs, get deep and vulnerable about those lows in life in Hollywood. We're both in the entertainment industry, and all the things. And I got super excited because that was done, right? We were going to do this podcast. It was going to be us. We're going to talk. We can talk for days. And then Alikona had the best idea. Credit where it's due. I give it.
I'm a little smart.
Yeah. And she was like, oh, we need to bring on Matt Marr. He is an actual therapist, and he's fabulous. He's funny. He has such great insight. And I was like, that's the podcast, right? Yeah. Because you're gonna get all that, maybe good advice, bad advice. Sorry if I touched the mic. But then you're gonna get real advice from an actual therapist that will help us all. So it was like the perfect combination, and here we are.
Yeah, but first we gotta play Never Have I Ever, because it's a good icebreaker. Telling a bunch of strangers that you sharted in your pants is just a great way to start a show,
And for y'all to get to know us in a different kind of way, because we're gonna get deep, we're gonna get funny, all the things.
Yeah, but really quick, actually, let's introduce each other, and then we'll bring out Matt, because we don't want to be all like braggy. I did this.
Okay. So again, Alikona. So I met Alikona doing an AfterBuzz after show, and for Hit the Floor back in the day. If you knew me from that show,
she was doing something.
What'd you say? Nothing. Exactly. I actually really didn't hear what you said. But I met her there. She's an amazing host. Alikona's such a good listener, interviewer, writer. She's written movies, y'all, that's been made. She's an actress. She does parkour, gymnastics, all the things, dance. An amazing dog, animal, cat mom, animal activist. And she's the kind of friend who is just always there to listen, super positive, and if you need her, she's there. So it was just amazing that I got to meet you when I did, and it started again professional, but like we've talked about, like we just couldn't stop talking in the parking lot, and then here we are.
Yeah. It was that one fateful day we were on the corner of Louise and Burbank, and it's so crazy. And this is my bestie over here, Valery Ortiz.
She does accents.
I do. And yes, you might recognize her from Hit the Floor, as she said. She was shaking her groove thing. Exactly like that. And then they killed her off.
Because they saw me do that.
But anyway, yes, and she was recently on Gabby Duran, playing a very hilarious mom. And if you're feeling Christmas in July, I highly encourage you to watch Cloudy with a Chance of Christmas, because she's the lead in that movie, which was, by the way, on her bucket list. So that's kind of pretty cool. But and as a friend, amazing listener, super loyal, always there. No judgment whatsoever, incredibly empathetic, thoughtful. I'm looking right at Val, but I should be looking at you, but it's so true. Also wonderful, amazing doggy mommy. And I'm sure the list goes on, but I'm not going to keep talking, because really what we need to do is introduce our unpaid, he really is unpaid from us therapists, and I do call him for everything too. But you might recognize him from the podcast Reality Gaze, as well as my former co-host for the Arrow After Show. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Matt Marr.
Hello. Hi. I feel like I should wear my Arrow costume.
I know.
You know, but I don't.
I'm so
I don't have
excited.
the arm.
that you're
Hello.
here. Especially because, y'all, I mean, like we talked about this. We've talked about this podcast for years, which we're going to get into. So just having you here and actually filming this first episode, and you're in the room, and now we're doing this, and all of our, behind the scenes crew. I feel surreal.
It's like I'm sitting on the couch with two Disney princesses. You both are so
You're a
pretty.
prince.
I can't even. So anyway.
You're gorgeous too.
Oh, well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
I love how your feet touch the floor and mine don't right now.
Well, yeah.
Anyways,
Always.
That's our OnlyFans thing later.
Yeah, that's
But let's do our
Yes.
Never Have I Ever.
Okay,
You start first.
Well, actually, since Matt is our
Yes,
special
Oh,
guest,
okay.
we gonna shuffle it up.
All right.
here.
All right. Ooh, she gonna get a drink of water for this one.
So
y'all.
basically, we're gonna do this every episode. If you have ever, and it's juicy ever, you're gonna elaborate. But first, you're
Okay.
just gonna read.
I've done a lot of shit, so I'm scared. All right, I'm gonna pick. Ooh, it's like tarot cards. You don't know what's gonna happen. Okay. Well, hold on.
Get it right
sorry.
together.
Oh,
You know
are they
what?
stuck
Some of this
together?
glue-
Oh, okay.
Valerie sucks at
Okay.
gluing.
Okay. There we go. All right. So I'm reading this.
You
Yes.
are.
Okay. All right. Never have I ever hooked up with someone and halfway through undressing realized they stank, so I left.
You know what's going to be really funny about this, especially as the show goes on? You're going to know who wrote what. By like the words used. I'm not going to tell you who it was. You're just going to have to keep watching and figure it out. So,
I was just literally talking about this on our podcast because I host it with my friend.
What podcast is that?
Reality Gaze.
There you
Yeah.
go.
If y'all love 90 Day Fiance, trash reality TV, that's what we talk about, Below Deck, all that fun stuff. But I was like, what is going on? Because I don't know what's happening, at least in the gay male community. I mean, people are into that stank.
What?
Yeah, I mean, it's a thing. It is. They like
they asked for it.
Yes, they want to smell people's underwear. They want to smell like it's a whole thing. And they you go into like the Eagle, which is kind of like a leather bar here in Los Angeles, and you go into it, and it's just like you walk in there, and if the wind blows one way, your nostrils are going to burn, girl.
Oh, God.
What?
And I'm not judging people that's I guess I am.
Sure.
I guess I am because
Hold on, though. You said the Eagle, and I was thinking is it a
Spread Eagle. I know.
no, the Eagle's the bar. It's a bar. It's a bar. But so I am not. I've never like in the middle of hooking up with someone though. I luckily haven't been with someone
That's smelly.
because I pretty much make up front. I'm like I vet it. You got to vet it a little bit when you get because somebody's just gonna be like they haven't like worn deodorant in like 2 weeks. And that's not for me.
No.
That is so interesting.
What about it's not. I don't think you would
ever?
play.
No, and I mean, y'all. Well, I just started dating. I was married before, long relationships. No, thank goodness, no. Oh no,
No. Yeah.
I mean, it's never been to the point where I left, but I mean, I've smelt aromas before.
oh,
I mean, people have aroma. We're not gonna aroma shame people. We are not here for that. You smell the way you want to smell. Just know that if you're gonna be in my bed, I have a preference of the way I want to smelt or smell.
yeah, that too. Okay,
I'm glad it's a hard no for everybody.
yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and he picked a blue one, so I'm gonna pick a pink one.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Never have I ever been depressed. Okay, so this is more of a serious question.
After you had the incident,
After I smelled the taco balls,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I got really sad, you guys. No, I don't know if I've ever been like clinically depressed. I think it's healthy to have moments of ultimate like sadness if something truly sad happened into your life. To deny the fact that something was sad is probably not healthy either. So I've never gone into, like I said, a deep clinical. I allow myself like a few days. Although there's been some stuff recently that's made me sad, and I'm like, oh. But then I'm back to being me.
Yeah, and hold on, and this is the first episode, so don't generalize it. Like what? What was it? Yeah,
okay.
you know what I mean? I mean,
guys,
I know we know, but let's invite them in.
My two unpaid therapists, I do know. This is going to turn into like a whole episode.
No, we don't have to get deep into it, but I mean, like, you know.
Well, yeah, no, like recently my dog passed away. It was really, really tragic and traumatic. Look, I freaking let her outside at somebody's house that I had never been to before, did not even realize it was nighttime, forgot they had a pool, and she fell in and drowned. So it was pretty traumatic.
Pretty sudden.
Very.
And really common, actually.
But can we get to the part that, and I keep reminding Alikona about this, that she brought her back to life. And I say that because it's so important, because that's so who you are. And
Boy, that is the definition of Alikona.
You know what I mean? Like she is
where
that.
There's a will, there's an Alikona.
Absolutely.
Yes.
She did. I mean, first of all, she doesn't know CPR. You know what she did? She remembered what she saw in the movies, and she did it, and it worked. And that is the doggone truth. Yeah. No pun intended, but doggone. But yeah, which is amazing. Like, and you didn't give up, and she came back to life. Obviously, took her to that and things. And she's 16 years old.
Yeah.
Was 16 years old.
Probably
so
just a little too.
Yeah,
just a little too much.
It was a lot for the dog, but you did everything you could, and I mean, it was just amazing. And we share that because my 16-year-old, they were at
her birthday party.
Miley had a 16-year-old birthday party
within a week and a half, you guys.
Yeah.
Of Lonnie Kai passing.
My dog had to be put down because of different things. So and the only reason I wanted to share it, because these are the kind of conversations that we can talk about some like sweaty balls smell, and then get real and be like, no, like a few weeks ago or yesterday, we were both like,
we're all going through it, you know. And I think the healing is in the specifics. I think when people talk in the generalities, it's you don't want to upset someone, or you're worried how people are going to take it. But if people don't know if people don't know what you're going through, then they don't know what you're going through. Mm-mm. And so I think for both of you, because Alikona told me about it, you know, it's you're talking about grief too, and grief necessarily and depression are two different things. Because I think grief is something. That my father died over a year ago, and that was my first parent to lose. And he had cancer. It was terrible. I'm glad that he's now like at peace and, up in heaven with a bunch of blonde girls with fake tits, because that's what he would love. That's what my dad would love. But like just last weekend, like something like made me think of my dad, and I got really sad for a day. And so I think grief and depression, I think all these things are like a fingerprint. They're so individual to you that I think that anyway, I just wanted to comment of like, I think you're going through now something different than depression. It's grief. And so sometimes grief, especially, it's going to keep hanging around because the love you had was so deep.
Mm-hmm. And I'm so glad, and thank you for sharing that one, because it is hard. But I think just your description of saying it's like a fingerprint, that is so beautifully just stated, because that is so true, and it's so different for everybody. And but I want this conversation to be that, and you guys to see a different side of us that, you don't normally see, and because we're all going through something, like you just said. Which even goes to like the reason why we started this podcast. Again, we had this idea to do this. We shot a whole season, you guys.
Yes.
We looked through the episodes. We didn't have the mics that we wanted, the look, and we were just like, we gotta start over. And then the whole topic of this episode today was fear of failure because of that. I was like, we had a list, we had all the ideas, and like fear of failure, because even to start this over and decide, did we fail? Oh, I don't know. No, we learned a whole lot and then did something different, and here we are.
Yeah. I do want to dive into that deeper, and I do want to say this is why we have Matt, because obviously he brought in the wisdom, but I do want to get one more never have I ever, because you have not picked one out.
Okay, see, she's like, do it. I'm excited about this.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Never have I ever avoided someone because I just couldn't handle their sour attitude or inability not stop playing the victim, or inability to not stop playing the victim. Never have I ever avoided someone. No, never have I ever avoided someone, because of that, no. I did remove them out of my life because a lot of things like that. And that I'm trying not to generalize. I've been in a relationship where I avoided someone because I just couldn't handle their sour attitude. That wasn't the reason that I avoided them or left the relationship, but there was a lot of playing the victim, but then now there's a lot of mental health stuff in there too. That's why I'm not getting too specific. So I would say probably no to avoiding them only because of that. But I guess if it was just a random person, I protect my energy, and I guess the older I am, I'm a little bit more specific on who I let around me.
No, I think that's getting older and
Right?
just getting more and dealing with crazy shit more. And sorry, I say jet lag. I don't mean it's but stigmatized. I mean it's a funny, but it's also too. It's like when. Sorry, I'm going to ask a question now, just because when you're a podcaster, I think you're curious. You're curious people, so questions invite questions. But at what point in your life do you feel like you realize that some people are just in your life for a season? Because I think when we're younger, we think everyone is there forever.
Mm-hmm.
And I know for me, there was definitely, I'm 44, and I remember when I turned it was around 38 years old, I kind of had like a friend breakup and stuff and then I started realizing, oh, yeah, this is just, sometimes friends are seasonal.
Yeah.
I don't know how old I was. Go ahead.
I've never ever avoided a parent because of that. Could not get my parent out of the playing the victim. You can only tell them so much. And then I got to a point where I was like, I love you. I'll still message you or whatever, but I'm not going to get on the phone with you for long periods of time, because if I do, then I'm going to start feeling shitty. So we're just going to not. And I probably did that for a good month or two. And then eventually I had a talk with them, and that changed things. But it took my whole life to have this talk. I was in my late 30s when I had that conversation.
Late 30s. That's
Parent stuff's hard too. It takes a bit, yeah.
And I just realized that I had cut myself, so I didn't paint these two nails, guys. So if that's what's happening.
I thank you. This whole time I'm like, Mother Alikona.
I know mine are bare. That's such a good thought. I can't pinpoint an age, Matt, but for sure older, and just more experiences, I guess, and being more self-aware of just what I need for just my peace or just me being okay. I think that's kind of what's helped. Yeah, that's a interesting one.
Sorry, I didn't mean to hijack the question.
No, that's okay. This got real deep. Our never ever are supposed to be funny.
They were funny.
Sorry, don't worry. I got a lot of dick jokes in me. They're going to come too. So they're all there. All there.
Do you want to dive into the?
Yeah, we've already got our swim caps on, but our intention with this today is we wanted to talk about fear of failure because it can be immobilizing, and it's something that I know I've dealt with growing up much of my life. I try not to operate out of fear anymore, but there's still fear in me, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna open this up and just ask both of you guys, what is something that you've realized you operate when you're operating fear? And I say that meaning something as simple as going to the grocery store and weighing out this costs this much and then this, and spending 5 minutes on some shit where it's just either buy the brand name or buy the store, what the fuck. But it's because of fear of lack. If you really want to get all deep, it's fear of lack, not enoughness, having financial awareness when you were young about being poor or whatever the case may be. And it's so crazy how those things can influence your everyday life in stupid tasks.
Yeah. That's kind of relatable. What we've talked about before and what kind of sparked this episode amongst a lot of things was for me the first time that I felt like a failure, and it got me a little emotional even thinking about it, was when I went through my divorce, because there's so many, just even saying the word, I'll never forget, the first time, and why do they have this also? But the first time I had a bubble in that stupid little thing that's just single, married, divorced, and I don't know what the other one was, or if there is, and I was just You know, like I don't give up. Like, that's not in my nature. I finish what I start. So to have to go through divorce, and obviously there's so many things that were wrapped up into that, and then be that statistic, especially because I'm in the entertainment industry, so that added another layer. I was just like, I've never felt like such a failure. And then after it all, and after the healing and whatever, it's like, I know all the things, and you tried all the things, and all the things that were like, duh, like it wasn't gonna work, for so many different reasons. But the label alone, man, like, just made me feel like shit. Yeah, and even to this day too, like, and even in dating, like, to tell somebody you're divorced, it felt like I had the scarlet letter, you know, of just like, I'm divorced, and it's like, oh, there's another one. Of course, you're an actress, you're divorced, like, and that's what I felt.
Yes. It's a lot of stigma in the word.
Yes. So that's my biggest.
But you know what? That is a very like old way of thinking. Not to say that you
No,
think that way,
you're
but like
absolutely right.
society looks at, especially the woman, you know, is like, well, what's wrong that you got a divorce?
Yes.
But instead, I feel like the reframing of that should be, congratulations,
Which is what I do now.
you
to
weren't
people.
happy, and it takes a lot of balls and ovaries to walk away from something when you're comfortable. So it's like, instead of looking at those actresses, it's like you look at someone like Pamela Anderson Lee, right? Or oops, now she's Pamela Anderson, excuse me. And I know people judged her for many, many reasons. If you haven't watched her documentary, it's so good. But she's been married and divorced like 5 or 6 times, and she's like, you know what, I'm a hopeless romantic and I believe in love. And so she goes in and she goes all in, and then when she realizes it's not for her, whether it's being abused or whatever the case may be, she's okay with saying, you know what, this is not making me happy, I'm gonna go try find something else, and I'm gonna find my happy. And I'm like, dude,
So empowering. Yeah. And now when people say that, I have close friend kind of going through something, a divorce, not something. And it's, I'm careful with my words, because it's just like, I'm sorry, but I'm happy for you. I'm happy that you're deciding to choose whatever you need to make you happy, because that is really difficult sometimes. Not that I'm like, yeah, get married, get divorced, go all crazy, whatever, but just do you, like, chase what's right for you. So I like that.
You know, I with fear, you know, I ended it. I wasn't divorced, but ended a almost 8-year relationship last year as well, and it wasn't my choice. So I definitely felt that as well. I kind of had that mindset of, just when you commit to someone, you commit. And also, I'm lazy. I don't want to go through the shit that I went through with someone else again. I did a lot of groundwork in those first 3 years. I got someone trained to pick up their stuff. Like, I did all that shit. I don't want to do that again. But I think there is this idea of, I've been, you know, the type of, when I'm just podcasting now. So I'm not practicing in therapy. When I was a narrative therapist. And so what that is a lot of looking at life through story, metaphor, and things like that. And so, and quote, narratives. And so I thought, kind of, what is the narrative like in society telling me about marriage, what marriage is supposed to be. And then I realized that, and not just marriage, but relationships. And I bring this up because I think that is probably, I thought I had fear of failure with like career and stuff like this. And then Miss Universe, she said, hey, bitch, I'm going to do it with this relationship. You're going to think you a failure. You're going to feel like shit when you go through this. But, you know, so it took me down and took me out in a lot of ways, but it was a great opportunity for me to go, wait a minute. I really, when it comes to relationships, I'm really caring in a way about other people's opinions instead of my own. It's what, like, I think RuPaul said, but I think Eleanor Roosevelt said it, like, what other people think of you is none of your business. I say that so much to myself. And but I realized I was going, the other people are going to think that, well, Matt didn't try hard enough. They're going to think I really took on this, like, perfectionism. It was going to be my fault. So I feel like and I bring that to all three of us, I feel like when we're in this space of fear of failure, a lot of times when you're afraid of failing at something, a lot of times you're actually not thinking about what you would do in that situation. You're thinking about the other people, your mom, your dad, your family, what they would say, what they would think. But if you actually kind of in those moments kind of imagine you kind of step out of yourself like a ghost and yourself looks at you and said, do you think I'm really going to give two shits if you fuck this up? I'm just going to be happy that you're learning and that you're growing and that you're just trying to be a better person. Like, I'm good with that. That usually is what the self wants.
Right.
So that's kind of been, but I relate to you a lot as far as just the stigma and all. And then I will say this to people. If you're a friend or someone you know, sorry, I'm hitting the couch because I'm getting all into it. But if they tell you, when you tell them you're single or divorced, y'all don't make the face.
Right.
You know that face,
I
right?
They don't, it's the, yeah.
It's like they go, oh, it's like they just saw like, I don't know, like just a sad kitten. They go, oh.
Yes.
Like, even though you got it on the side, just go, okay.
Right.
Great. Okay. Yeah, cool. Like
I know that face. I hate that face. And the older we get to I just feel like even just going into like being single at our age, I feel like the older generation is just like, oh, if you don't have a boyfriend, the older generation, or it's just like you're not in a relationship, you're a failure. Yeah. Like it's just like, well, maybe like I want to be single right now. Like this is
really, my podcast partner, he's talked about, because we talk about relationships a lot, because we talk about a lot about 90 Day Fiance or a show Love After Lockup. So we talk a lot of our reality shows. We talk about Love Is Blind. So a lot of shows we're talking about people in relationships. And Jake, my co-host, said something, and he said it, and I went, "Okay, bitch, that's pretty wise." He said, honestly, being in a relationship for even 5 years is a big feat. That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And when he said that, I went, you were right. It's such an enormous effort just to do that. And so what if we started looking at, wow, you're with someone for 3 years? That's a long time. That took a lot of work.
See, I know, and I get the look. This is the look. How long have you guys been there? I'm like, oh, like 10, 12. How long? Are you married? No. Well, why not? And then Val and I
because you're smart.
Well, no, because Val and I have this conversation all the time. When I tell her, I was like, at this point in my life, would I be opposed? No. Do I feel like I could get married? I feel like I'm too old. Like, people would feel sorry for me. Be like, oh, this bitch is like,
you're never too old to get married if you want to get married.
Like, if I'm having my second marriage, that makes sense.
No.
But at this
point,
when she told
that's
me
some
this,
bullshit.
I was like,
that's some bullshit.
I was like, I don't want to hear anymore. You're too old.
Yeah, like they're like, oh, that old.
Nobody's thinking that.
That's you.
That's projection.
That's projection. Yeah.
100% projection, because nobody's gonna
that's
be
your
like
mama's
that.
voice right there, or something.
But nobody will be like, it'll be like, oh my god, yay,
or oh, how cute, look at that old lady. Oh,
that's fine. I think it's cute if I saw two 70-year-old people getting married. That's great.
You're not gonna be 80.
Well, I know.
And then if you were, who cares? That would be cute.
It would be cute if it was my second marriage or fourth.
Why? Yeah, but why?
I don't know.
That's interesting.
I just feel like you should get married like when you're in your like.
Why should?
I'm gonna turn. You just said to her about her idea about divorce. You said to Val, I said, you're thinking kind of old school, and I think you're thinking
old school. For
girl, this is a mirror.
Yeah. No, and for sure. Listen, I got divorced, and I was very much in that, like, which is why it happened, and I went through with it, because when I was in the self, I was like, the self does not want this. Yes, there will be the stigma. Yes, my parents would be disappointed in the families and blah, da, 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 da. Sure. And absolutely, it was a hot mess. But self was so happy. Self was free. Self was finally not drowning. Self found herself and started growing up. I got married young. It was my high school sweetheart, y'all. I didn't know the world. I just started dating, and we've talked about this, as an adult. And now you date online. Like, what? Like, how do you what? So self chose what self needed. But yeah, that projection on society and all the things, it sucks. But I get so interested when you start talking about that old thing, because, and I just think you think you're old just in general, like, because you talk about stuff like that, which I'm just like, girl, please look at her.
Should not.
I know. She's
I
not
got
old.
like, do you see the dry wrinkles around my eyes? Like,
Alikona.
No.
What?
Oh my
I'm just
goodness.
saying.
I mean,
Girl, you've been in LA too long.
yeah. I that's just.
Look, and I'm vegan, you guys. I can't get Botox. I already asked. Not that I would ever be like, I would never do that to myself, but I was talking to my dermatologist because I do have acne scars, you guys, and I'm always trying to get rid of them. And yeah, the dermatologist was like, yeah, it's got bovine, and I was like, but. Okay, well, I guess I'm just going to get like a raisin.
You should make a vegan Botox and you'll be rich.
No.
Get your doctor coat on.
Okay.
Hey, listen. You heard it here first,
right?
I love that. I love that. I just one day we're gonna all be at your wedding and be like, do you remember when? And by all of us, I mean
When I'm like, Kirsty.
Hey,
Y'all the only two friends I have
I'll
left.
roll you down the wheelchair. I don't care. I'll be a flower girl. I'll wear a dress.
I like that. That's
I know
so
you
funny.
would too. Oh, it's amazing.
I love it.
It's amazing. I feel like we scratched the surface of failure, but didn't at the same time. I feel like we're like running out of time. So your call. Do you want to quote us out? Do you want to?
I do want to quote us out.
Okay.
So there's just, and it's actually in my email, which says how much I love this quote. But let me not mess it up too. So it says, "Failure is the condiment that gives success its flavor." I didn't fail. It's the Invisalign, y'all. It's the Invisalign. We didn't talk about.
We all three got it.
Yeah, we talked about this
We
off
got it. Did
screen.
you guys get it? Did you get it?
But I just got Invisalign and I can't talk. So failure is the condiment that gives success its flavor.
And I told Val I'm gonna get a lot of flavor. I got lots of seasonings, you guys.
Good girl. That's
I mean,
what
the gratitude is real when you've gone through it.
This is true.
It's really true. I love that quote.
I'll let you guys know how
All right.
I feel when it happens.
All right. Put us on a text thread.
Well, with that, we just wrapped our first episode of the Unpaid
Congratulations!
Therapists.
Yay!
Thank you. I'm so happy
course.
here. Oh, you just have
Thank
so
you
much
for
wisdom,
having
so
me.
much funnies and personality. I love it.
I mean, I did. It was mine. I didn't bring
I
mine,
know.
so.
I love it. I'm gonna give you
No, I'm
your
just
flowers.
kidding.
And thank you guys all for tuning in.
yes.
Keep coming for more.
We have a Patreon. We're still figuring out our life, but we definitely would love for you to subscribe. Of course, there's going to be fun perks. And we do want to do something where Val and I were talking about doing a raffle. So if you are a Patreon member, there'll be different levels you'll see on our page, right? But we are going to have one where we're going to try to raffle off the opportunity for people to come guest with us via Zoom. Matt's not always going to be here in person, so the days that he can't make it, he'll Zoom with us. So you could be one of our Zoom co-hosts. So just look for that.
Smart idea.
Yeah.
Fun.
All right.
Okay, guys. We love you
That's
so
it.
much. Thank you.
See you later.
Bye.